Hi everybody, I'm Mike Garska with SuccessToolChest.com and FindAMentor.com. Welcome to this week's Help Me Communicate, where I help you become a better communicator. Today I'm going to talk about what to do when you make a mistake. Have you ever made a mistake and worried about what you're going to do, how you're going to deal with it? Have you ever said something that you wish you hadn't and wondered how to correct it? One of my good friends, Roger, when he is sharing a story with me about doing something that he wished he hadn't, or saying something that he wished he hadn't, he always refers to it as, Mike, geez, you know, I was saying this to this person. He says, I had one of those moments where I opened my mouth and inserted foot. Open mouth, insert foot. We all say things we wish we hadn't. What do you do when you make a mistake? Well, what successful people do when they make a mistake, I'll give you the 3 things quickly, and then I'll tell you a couple stories about how that might unfold. First thing successful people do when they make a mistake is they admit their mistake. The second thing they do is they fix it as quick as they possibly can. They deal with it now or as soon as they possibly can. And the third thing is they learn from their mistake. So you fix it, you admit it, you fix it, and you learn from it. So people often make mistakes. And people admire people who admit that they made a mistake and fix it and learn from it. Admiration for anybody that quickly fixes mistakes that they made grows. Often, in businesses where I can relate the most, every business I know of makes mistakes with their customers. Every single one. And what sets businesses apart from the standard status quo is the ones who fix their mistakes, own them, and fix them immediately, gain the respect of the customers, because customers know that people make mistakes. What they don't like is when people blame other people for the mistakes, or they skirt around the issue, or they pretend it didn't happen and do nothing about it. What people admire, and I always go back to businesses that make mistakes. I had a contractor once that screwed up the tile in building a house that we were building. And I said, I got to kick your sub-trade off the site. He said, no problem, I get it. He came and looked at it, and he immediately had 2 more guys the next morning out there to fix the mistakes. I would highly recommend that contractor to anybody. Back when I owned my cellular phone stores, it was in the early part of the industry. I got into the business in the 80s and kept my stores till the 90s. And often, some of my salespeople or customer service people would make a mistake in managing expectations for customers. In the early part of the cellular industry, Canada is a very big country, the big rural area, and it was extremely expensive for the cellular networks to get coverage throughout the country, or particularly in rural areas. And it took 20 years to get decent cellular coverage across Canada in our rural areas. Well, 5 years in, I had a customer come into one of our stores, and he was mad. He was causing a ruckus. He was raising his voice. First thing I did was get him out of the store atmosphere. I brought him into my office, and the first thing I did was listen to him. Okay, what happened? And he shared his story about he thought the phone would work here, and it didn't, and he was really mad. Give me my money back. I don't want anything to do with this. I said, okay, so you were told that it was going to work here? He said, yeah. I said, well, I'm sorry, sir, but our people gave you the wrong information. It doesn't work there. I said, here's what we're dealing with for cellular phones at this date and time. Here's what we do. Here's where we work really well. Here's the places we don't work. Here's the things we do really well, and here's the things we don't do so well. And here's the only one competitor as far as cellular networks at the time in the area. Here's what they do really well. Here's where they work really well. Here's where they don't work. Here's where they're better than us. Here's where we're better than them. And I explained the whole thing. So I said, now that you know that, I said, I've got a good colleague and somebody on the other side of on the other network that when we have customers that we can't meet their expectations and we know that the other network is better for them, I send them to this business, to this store. He's a friend of mine. He provides really good customer service, and he'll look after you. Would you like me to give you your money back here and send you over there so that he can give you what you want, or do you want to stay with our network? He said, well, based on what you've told me, I think you guys are actually the best network for me. He says, actually, I need a second phone. Give me another phone. And I sold him another phone. So I admitted that we made a mistake in managing his expectations. I fixed the mistake as best as could by readjusting his expectations and giving him clear expectations on what he can expect from me and from my competitors. And I said, here's a really good competitor. I offered to send him to a really good competitor. So I fixed this mistake by giving him many options. And I assured him that we will learn from that mistake, that I'll have a meeting with my customer service people and our salespeople, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future so that people get what they expect. He was more than happy. I checked back with him a couple of times in the next couple of weeks to make sure he was still happy, and he was. And we, as a business, got in the habit of fixing our mistakes instantly, owning them, fixing them, and learning from them. I had a meeting with all of the customer service people and the sales team and shared the story and said, okay, so here's what we have to do, guys. We have to make sure that we're managing our expectations properly with customers so they get what they expect and they don't come back in here all peeved off at us. As a result of learning from our mistakes, admitting them and fixing them, our business grew faster than most businesses. I grew a cellular phone business starting from the trunk of my car, working out of the trunk of my car, to 3 stores and $3 million in annual sales over a 9-year period because we admitted our mistakes, fixed them, and learned from them. And our people performed at the top of industry. We often had 2 of our 3 stores were in the top 5 performers in the country when the sales numbers came in. We won contests and we won trips and bonuses and all kinds of things because we provided great service. And part of providing great service is admitting your mistakes, fixing them, and learning from them. And that's what we did. So the first thing you can do, when you're made a mistake is admit it. Now, sometimes it's really difficult to get the courage to go to somebody and admit that we made a mistake. But what I want to say to you is that the courage is inside you. The discipline to access that courage and use it to go to the person and admit that you made a mistake is inside you. We all have courage inside us. We all have discipline inside us. You need to access that when you've made a mistake and utilize it to admit your mistake. That's the first step. Think of a time that you accessed courage in your life. Get in touch with that emotion and access it again. Think of a time when you accessed discipline in your life and get in touch with that. And discipline yourself to access the courage and muster up, man up or woman up, and get over there and admit your mistake as soon as you realize you've made it. And that builds good success character into your life so that you can become more successful in every aspect of your life. We want you to develop habits of successful people. Let me give you another example of making a mistake. Often we say the wrong things to people. We have to have a corrective conversation with a coworker, and often, not often, but a few times, my wife has come home. She's a physician. She's come home and she's had to correct a coworker on a issue, and she's come home and said, "Oh, geez, I don't think I handled that right. What could have I said differently?" And we'll brainstorm it, and I'll give her some more perspective. She'll say, "Oh yeah, if I said that, that would have worked." So what's the first thing that she does? She first realizes she made a mistake and admits it to herself. She gets some outside perspective. Then she goes back the next morning, or the next day that she's working with that individual, and she goes back to them and she says, "I made a mistake. I think I could have said that to you differently. I apologize. Here's what I could have said. Here's my intent." And we go through the conversation. In every instance that she's done that, the relationship has actually flourished and it's gotten stronger. People admire, especially people in power positions. People admire those people in power positions that admit their mistakes, fix them, and learn from them, and attempt not to make them again. Now, one of the things people don't do often is learn, not often, but often, actually often, people make mistakes. They either blame other people or they pretend they didn't happen and hope that nobody's going to find out, but they don't admit them. And they don't learn from them. Now, one of the types of mistakes that we make is not keeping agreements. We keep agreements all the time. We have unspoken agreements we make spoken agreements, we make written agreements. We often make agreements. I'll give you an example of a little agreement. I've got a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. The agreement is I'm going to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. If I get stuck in traffic, then I can't make that meeting. I'm going to be late. Before that agreement is broken, I'm going to break an agreement. It's obvious. I'm not going to make it on time. Before the agreement is actually broken, I'm going to attempt to renegotiate that before it's broken. So I phone from my car and say, "Hey, I'm tied in traffic," and I phone before 8 o'clock. If I phone 3 minutes after 8 and say I'm in traffic and I'm not going to make it, that person's had 3 minutes to disrespect me for being late. If I phone 1 minute early, that chance of disrespecting me for 3 or 5 minutes is not going to happen. And people appreciate. They say, oh, this guy operates at a different level of professionalism. He calls me 1 minute before 8, says he's going to be 5 minutes late. They appreciate that. Now, if we, and people appreciate that renegotiation of an agreement. Anytime you have to break any kind of agreement, as soon as you realize that you've made a mistake, own it, fix it by making the phone call and renegotiating the agreement. And when you do that, people's respect for you grows. That's how you turn mistakes into benefits, by getting other people's respect for you to grow. Now, often, not often, sometimes there's some people who have a habit of breaking agreements. And so what they're dropping the ball on is learning from their mistakes. When I make agreements and I'm continually breaking agreements, then I have failed to learn from my mistakes. And it's important to learn from our mistakes. So stop making agreements that you can't keep. Make sure when you're making agreements for time commitments and that kind of thing, that you can keep those agreements, or change how you're making those agreements. Give yourself extra time. Do whatever you have to so that you actually learn from the mistake of not making an agreement or not keeping an agreement, so that you have to renegotiate as few times as possible. If you are seen as the person who's constantly renegotiating your agreements, constantly late and phoning to say you're going to be late, and it happens every time, well, that's not learning from your mistakes. So learn from your mistakes. So to recap today's talk, learn from your mistakes, fix them as soon as they happen, and admit them. Admit, fix, and learn. The benefits is that people will respect you more. The respect for you will grow. You'll make fewer mistakes if you learn from those mistakes. And you'll feel more confident inside yourself. So the benefits of admitting, fixing, and learning from your mistakes is that your confidence grows. People's trust in you grows. And your relationships become stronger. And you become more successful. And if you implement that into every aspect of your life, because we make agreements in every aspect of life. We make mistakes in every aspect of life. And if you get into that habit and build it into your character so that you do it in personal life and in business life, you make a mistake, you admit it, you fix it, and you learn from it, you will become a more successful person. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. Go out and make it an awesome day. Don't forget to like our posts down below here, or check all of our Help Me Communicate series out. They're all posted at the successtoolchest.com blog. You can go back through over 30 different episodes and then pick one that maybe you're struggling with, a communication issue that you're struggling with at any given point in time. Get a refresher on how you might deal with it. Don't forget to check out findamentor.com. Be a mentor. Pay it forward in that area of life that you're an expert at. There's thousands of people looking for mentors. Mentoring is free. If you want to charge for your services, we see that as coaching and specify that. But pay it forward. If you're looking for a mentor in a particular aspect of life, try findamentor.com. See if there's a mentor out there that fits for you. Go out and make it an awesome day. Like our posts, share them with your friends, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.